time since I've been on here. I don't know how many months it's been, but I want to do a quick update, sort of just the whole video will be a little update from me. It's been crazy. Rachel, poor thing, is still sick. I mean, it's like she seems to get better and then she gets worse again. Her face, it swells. Sadly, she gets that from me and my family. It's like when you get a sinus infection, the lymph nodes aren't draining. And so it gets really, I mean, like that, huge, big. And it's really uncomfortable. And she has just fought sinus infection after sinus infection, and it's not getting any better. I think she has an appointment with the PCP soon. Maybe next week. I don't remember. I have just been doctored out the last we had 2 weeks of sort of calm, but it wasn't calm because it was everything that we had to do to get ready for the trip. So that makes it not calm. And sick cats, and Rachel should have posted a video about Izzy going to the vet. And then while we were on the trip, Jean had to take off work early to take Rachel to take Pooka to the vet. He is so sick. He looks so pitiful. I'll see if we have a picture of him. I know I should have some pictures of him at the vet in the little carrier, but he just was not eating. He didn't eat anything for 5 days. And we found this stuff they called again yesterday to say, okay, he's still not eating. What do we do? Because he's not that big. And they told me to pick up this tube of stuff. And it's got all the food and stuff he would need for today, and Hannah got it in them. It took her a long time, hours literally, but she was able to get a day's supply in him, and he does look better after that. And it just takes the antibiotics a long time to get to working. So he is slowly improving. Izzy's doing great. Hunk has had some issues, maybe TMI kind of issues, but he's doing fine. He's stealing everybody's food and he is getting fat, and we're trying to stop him. And it's like if Pooka and Izzy have food in their room and he knows it, and he will run in their room and eat it really fast. And so we're having to really keep an eye on that big boy. He is funny. So that's the cats. That's where they're at. It's been a doctor adventure. Carolyn and I left Sunday to go to Little Rock and saw the GI on Monday, and that went really well. Things that she was talking to us about were a possible port or pick line to get saline in her, because Caroline only gets about maybe 20 ounces of water a day. She gets a smoothie that's about that amount, and then which only has a third of a cup of water in it, and then a 20-ounce bottle of water maybe. She's just not able to get more than that. If she tries to get more than that, she starts throwing up. And if she, everybody's like, just eat. They say it like it's just so simple. Just eat, you'll be fine. But when your body starts rejecting food after a certain point, can only do so much. So she tries to eat little bits throughout the day, or she may take a meal and eat it over a 2-hour period, just so she can get the whole meal down. The GI is talking about perhaps doing a port so she can get saline infusions, maybe banana bags if she needs them. Banana bags are, it's a bag full of minerals. It's a IV fluid that has all these vitamins and minerals in it. So that was Monday, and then we drove back here on Tuesday. It was nice for Caroline because my sister-in-law doesn't live in the city. They live on some land, and so there weren't people doing things around where she would get reactive. So she was able to go outside a good bit. She got to swing and just, spend time outside, which is so rare for her. And I was so happy she got to do that. So we stayed through Tuesday morning and drove back yesterday. No, Tuesday. Today is Thursday. And it's been a long week. I'm not going anywhere tomorrow if I don't have to. Sorry, I had to take a break. Sarah needed help. She's not feeling well, and so she's sort of grumpy, and she's needing her mommy. So I went and took care of her. But anyway, yesterday was Wednesday, and was the new allergist. Now, if you have regular stuff and you just go to the doctor for a checkup, it's important that you like your doctor, and it's important to get along. But it's also a lot easier. You know, they're just checking you up, do this blood test, don't do this, and go on your merry way. But when you have chronic illnesses, a bad doctor can be life or death. It can, I mean, and that's not an exaggeration, that's the facts. So it's real important to have one that you can work well with and one that gives you good advice. The allergist we were seeing in Mississippi, literally, we all wanted to walk out on. If the girls didn't need their medicine, we would have. I mean, we drove 4 hours just one way to get there, and we were ready to walk out. But, because he was saying stuff that just was crazy. Like, he didn't know anything about anaphylaxis. Anaphylaxis is multi-system. People think it's just you can't breathe. But it can affect your eyes, your nose, your stomach, your lungs. It can just be all over. I think it's 6 different areas. So for him to say, never use your EpiPen unless your tongue is so swollen it's hanging out, is a deadly bad advice. That is not good advice. And when he said that, we were like, okay, he's gone nuts, and this is just not good. And he's being dangerous and cavalier and not taking things seriously. So we found an allergist, and I mean, literally in the office, I am sitting here scrolling through allergists, can't say that word today, here in town, and found one. And she's a newer one. We wouldn't have found her a year ago. She's pretty recently moved here. We had a lot of fear and trepidation because we didn't know if she would know about mast cell issues and all these different strange, unique things that we do. And she was awesome. It was a long visit. We got there at about 1:30, 1:45, somewhere there. Our appointment, we were supposed to be there at 1:45, and we got there before it. So, and we left at 7 o'clock last night. And they did what's called a pulmonary function test on Caroline. That's where you blow into a tube and they measure your lungs. And it showed some kind of blockage. So they had her take her asthma medicine, her inhaler, and they were going to do it again in 15 minutes and then look at the results of that to see if that cleared it up and made that go away, then it's definitely asthma. If it didn't, then there's other things going on that we need to further explore. So she did that with Caroline, and the test didn't clear it. I mean, the medicine didn't clear it up. And it just really raised more questions than answers. Looking at a lot of things today, she wrote out all these tests that she wanted to do for Caroline. Like when we were in Mississippi, they tested her for stinging insects. That's it. And we were told, yes, you are allergic to stinging insects. But she tested for wasps, yellow jackets, bees, all these very specific venoms, and I don't know how many other things she tested for. And she, it was 10 vials of blood today. That's all I know. Today they ran a C-kit test, which is to test for MCAD as opposed to MCAS. And they can run that through your blood. They used to only do it, I think, through bone marrow, and that's what our allergist in Jackson thought they would have to do. But you can do it through blood draw. So they did that today, and they did another test called an AAT, which is looking for certain genetic markers to see if we have those markers. I was just checking on what the AAT was. I was confused. I was thinking it was looking for a genetic marker, and that one I don't know if that shows up in the C-kit or if that will show up. That may be a different test. It was so there was so much information that we got at this doctor's office and in that meeting, and we talked about so many different blood tests. So the AAT test is checking for an obstructive lung disease condition, and it'll just give them more information on that. So she did that today, and along with the C-kit, which will tell if it's mast cell activation syndrome or disorder. Her hematologist doesn't think it's disorder. He thinks it's syndrome. That's sort of where we lie too, but it's good to be safe and to be sure, because there's so many things going on and there's so many conditions that are overlapping, that symptoms, you don't know where one symptom or one condition starts and another ends, because they have symptoms that cross over, and it gets very confusing it's hard to pull apart this puzzle. It's like when you have a bunch of necklaces and they all get all twisted up, and trying to sort out which one is which. Which chain goes to what necklace, and it can be really confusing. And that's sort of how this is. There's so many things going on, and sometimes they're going on at the same time. She can be having an anaphylactic attack, which can cause a Potsia reaction, which can, and so is that reaction Potsie, or is that reaction anaphylactic and mast cell? And, it gets really hard. And you've really got to take your time. And she wants to do that. And that's what's really great. Some of the other doctors have not wanted to do it. They want to hurry you through. It often felt like in Jackson sometimes that the doctor really wasn't giving each girl her needed attention. That he was like, Caroline's, this. And I'm going to lump you in here. Like he one day pronounced that Rachel had chronic urticaria and Hannah has multiple chemical sensitivity, but there really wasn't any discussion on why he thought that and why not. And Hannah shows many mast cell symptoms, just not the same as Caroline's, and so it was very frustrating. So I'm looking forward to her seeing the other girls. She's really excited. Some doctors act put out and overwhelmed if your condition's difficult. She's not. She's excited. She likes to solve puzzles and mysteries and figure things out. And so she's just real effervescent and bubbly, but she's also super dedicated. She takes her responsibility very seriously. So that is that's a good thing, and we're really pleased with that. So that appointment, I don't know if I said this or not, but she stayed with us because they had an emergency come in, and we had to do the secondary PFTs, so that bumped her back. She didn't get to our room till close to 5, and ended up staying with us till 7 after they closed at 5. So she stayed with us 2 hours, just us, and we really talked about things, and she asked a lot of questions, and she's very much a team player, wants to contact other doctors and work with them and look at the whole picture. And that's, the GI is that way too, and so is our hematologist. Which brings us to today. Caroline has had low iron, and she also has low vitamin D and vitamin B12. But she has low iron, and they had her on what's called gentle iron, because regular iron can tear up your stomach. And I had been taking gentle iron for about a year, and so he said go with that, and we did, and it has brought her iron back into normal or good levels, and he's really pleased with that. So he didn't want to see her for 4 months. We talked to him about the port and the PICC line. The GI wanted the opinion of the allergist and the GI today to get an opinion on what they thought of the port or the PICC and their feelings about it. She was worried about allergic reactions, and she was just their general feeling. But they both felt the PICC line was a high risk because of infection. And so the hematologist thought the port was a better option. The allergist isn't keen on either, but she realizes that sometimes you got to do what you got to do, and so the port would be a better option. That's about all I have for right now. Next week, we only have one appointment, then the first 2 weeks of July are crazy. I had misplaced my planner, or had not for some reason synced planners and didn't write some appointments down, and it turns out we have 3 appointments the first week in July. We have 2 cardiology and 1 rheumatology, I think, and then the next week We have 2 allergy, 1 rheumatology, and I have a PCP appointment. So it's going to be crazy the next few weeks. But hopefully we'll be getting some answers. I have to call the GI back next week and fill her in on what happened this week because she's out of town now. So it's going to be, it's good. We feel like we're getting a team of doctors who are actually really looking at things and sort of figuring things out, and we feel good about that. So that's all for today. I will link some pictures from our Little Rock trip at the end, and I hope you enjoy them. Thanks for watching, y'all. God bless you and have a good day. Bye.